I'm not
Mhm.
saying that you're not going to feel some unpleasant emotions like frustration, anger, and all those things. And in fact, I don't want you to avoid feeling your
Mm,
emotions because that's not what we're
mhm.
talking about. So what
Right.
I'm saying, it's the toxic positivity part. That's not what we're encouraging here. So
Mhm.
toxic positivity for the audience here is that you're thinking that, oh, everything is going to be great, everything is going to be positive, and if there's something unpleasant, you're just avoiding that emotion and all, and that's not what we're talking about. In fact, to have a good day or great day is, you allow yourself to feel all the emotions and
Mm.
realize that what it is that you're thinking that is causing those emotions.
Are you a busy woman who prioritizes everyone else's health above your own? Do you have questions about your diet, exercise, or how to prevent or treat certain health conditions? Are you always Googling health questions that you forget to ask or are embarrassed to ask your primary care physician? Girl, do you even have a primary care physician? Well, welcome to Headed to Healthier. I'm Dr. Brittany Anderson, a board certified family medicine physician, and every day in my private practice, I have discussions with women just like you who are doing their best to juggle the demands of life while also desiring to become healthier. Inside this podcast, you'll find practical and actionable health tips that you can incorporate into your daily life. You'll get expert advice and insight from some of my awesome healthcare colleagues, and you'll hear relatable conversations with incredible women just like you who have made their health a priority and are thriving because of it. So throw on your sneakers and get some steps in while you listen. Or if you're driving, get those hands at 10 and 2 and let's dig in. We are headed to healthier. Hi, ladies. Welcome back to today's episode of Headed to Healthier. I'm your host, Dr. Brittany Anderson, and I'm so excited to be joined by Dr. Mary Leung today. We are going to have a great discussion. Mary, it's great to have you. Thanks for coming to join me today.
Well, thank you for having me.
Good. Well, let me introduce you a little bit to my listeners. And introduce my listeners to you. Headed to Healthier is a group of women who are dedicated to becoming healthier. My listeners are of all ages, maybe close to my age in their 30s, 40s, 50s, and beyond, but who have decided that even though they lead really busy lives, this is their time to get healthier. It's important for them to be healthy for themselves, for one, but also for the people that they love and the people that they're taking care of. And, you and I both know as busy women, we spend so much of our time either working or caring for others that we don't always give ourselves that care that we need. And so that's what this show is about. We do a lot of talks about health, just general health topics, but also I really wanted with the show to spend some time talking about kind of mindset changes and changes that we as women could take to make our lives better, to make us healthier and to make us more productive and just to make us feel better about where we are and to be overall healthier. So, Dr. Mary Long, you are a triple board certified physician, which is a big deal. Your certifications are in internal medicine, in medical oncology, and hematology. Am I right? Did I get everything?
Yes, yes.
There you go. But in addition to that, you also are a certified life coach, and that is how I first got to know you, hear about you. So a couple years ago, it's been maybe about 2 years. It may not have been actually 2 years, but our state medical association, so the Medical Association of the State of Alabama, our women's physician had you as a guest. It was a Zoom call. I remember it vividly because I was actually in Arizona. So my two best friends and I were in Arizona for a couple days, and I'd signed up to join this women's physician Zoom and told my friends, guys, it's an hour. I'm only going to get on it for 10, 15 minutes. And then I promise I'm coming right back to you guys and we are going to, enjoy the rest of our day. We were driving that day from Phoenix to Sedona. I told them, give me 15 minutes and I'm getting off this call. I'll be with you guys. An hour later, I was still on the call because it was so good. In that talk, you were talking to us as female physicians about being more productive in our day. I think we were talking about charting. Do you remember that?
Oh, yes.
So we were talking about
Exactly.
charting, but I felt like you were talking about even so much more than that. You were talking about how to be productive, how to find the joy in medicine. And that's what I'm hopeful that you can bring to our audience today because I got off of that call and I was telling my friends about it. And I was telling them not just about charting what you shared with us, but some of those bigger principles. So, those are the bigger principles that I'm excited for you to share today. So, even though you specifically coach physicians, ladies, you do not have to have a medical degree to take a ton from Dr. Long today. She is going to share some great info and tips with us today. You sent me a list of kind of things we could talk about, and one really stuck out. And that one, which is what we'll title this show as, is how to make every day a good day. And so let's get into it. If you will first kind of add anything else by way of introduction, and then just tell me kind of what your thoughts are around this topic.
Yeah, well, thank you so much. I didn't even know that you were in Arizona in a different state to and you're so dedicated to, to attend that talk. That was amazing. And yeah,
It was
and
such a
thank you
good
so
talk.
much for, staying pretty much the whole time. So, but you're right, productivity, it's not just for physicians, it's for everybody. And it's not just learning about those skills, it's really your mindset, how you think about
Yes.
things.
And
Yeah.
that's so much of it. Through our day, we go through kind of these, rote things that we have to do every day, and we do them to check the box and say we did it, but we don't put a lot of thought behind kind of how we can be more productive and the mindset changes that we can make. So great.
Yeah, so I think that one of the biggest things that I learned from coaching and what I share with my coaching clients is that, we have a lot of control about
Mhm.
ourselves. We don't necessarily have control in all the situations, but we can control how we react, to
Yes.
those things that we cannot control. And I think to release that grip of we have to control everything, it's very
Yeah.
liberating.
And for a lot of us, that's our hang up, right? I know that's mine. It's mine in life. It's mine in work and everything. It's this like just having, like you said, this tight kind of grip on everything that's going on, but learning how to step back a little bit, delegate, trust others to do things, trust the process. That's the tough part sometimes.
Yeah, so with this topic of every day is going to be a good day, I think there are a couple of things. So I think a lot of us believe that, oh, it's going to be a good day if everything goes smoothly, everything that goes, according to what I want it to be. Then
Hmm.
we're giving power to something else, to determine our fate in a sense.
I agree with you 100% on that. So how can we start to make that shift? So, this discussion about how to make every day a good day, I see what you're saying. It's instead of us leaving it up to the day to
Mhm.
be whatever it's going to be, us taking ownership of that day. So I'm excited for this. I've got a notepad in front of me. I'm literally taking notes as you talk. So.
Yeah, so it starts with a decision that, it's going to be a good day. So when I wake up in the morning, everyone can choose your own sentence, that what you decide, what you want your day to be like. So my sentence is today is going to be a great day, no matter what happens. And
Mm,
and so, when I say that, is that it's the no matter what happens, that's kind of the key, because
yes.
that means that, it doesn't have to be everything going according to my will. It can be
Hmm.
surprises, like I shared with other people, like one day the transformer kind of like broke and we had no power, in the
Oh.
second half of the day, in,
Hmm.
in our clinic. But I just say, okay, this is what we're dealing with, and I'm just going to make it work.
Right.
So it's kind of it's a decision that no matter what your situation is, you're just going to make it work, and you're going to make it
Hmm.
a good day or a great day, whatever phrase you like to use. Or you can just be like, today is going to be a manageable day. So
Oh,
when you say that, and I would encourage you to just do that in the morning when you wake up. So, when you wake up in the morning, if you're not conscious about what you think, your default thinking maybe that, oh, it's going to be another long day. I'm
Yeah.
dreading. I don't want to get
Especially on
out of bed.
Mondays, right?
Exactly. Or even before you go to bed, it's like Sunday night,
Yeah.
right? It's like, oh no, it's another long week. And yes, you can think that, or you can choose to, focus on something else that, okay, today I'm going to make a difference in someone's life, or, today I'm going to spend more time with my family, whatever it is that, I think the good part is you got to decide what is good for yourself
Mhm.
and not for
Mhm.
someone else.
Oh,
So
there you go.
yeah, so for good, maybe it's like, I finish my work on time, or it is that I get to spend time with my family, whatever it is. So you can view that as your goal for the day,
Mm-hmm.
and you're gonna make it happen, and you decide that, okay, I'm gonna make it happen. So
Right,
so
right,
of course that means that you believe that you can do it. I think the belief
right.
part is very important too.
So, a couple questions there. So, should we be saying the same thing every day, or should it be something that is specific to that day? I kind of like the idea. It sounds like yours is the same thing every day. Is there a difference, or does it matter, would you say?
I don't think it matters. It
Okay.
matters like whatever works for you. And here I want to emphasize that I'm not saying that you're gonna be feeling all happy, go lightly,
Yes.
or positive emotions all the time. And I'm not
Mhm.
saying that you're not going to feel some unpleasant emotions like frustration, anger, and all those things. And in fact, I don't want you to avoid feeling your emotions
Mm,
because that's not what we're
mhm.
talking about. So what
Right.
I'm saying, it's the toxic positivity part. That's not what we're encouraging here. So toxic
Mhm.
positivity, for the audience here, is that you're thinking that, oh, everything is going to be great, everything is going to be positive, and if there's something unpleasant, you're just avoiding that emotion and all, and that's not what we're talking about. In fact, to have a good day or great day is, you allow yourself to feel all the emotions and
Right.
realize that what it is that you're thinking that is causing those emotions.
Gotcha. That makes so much sense. One other question on that one then. Is this wake up, eyes pop open in the morning, we're still laying in bed, we're saying this out loud to ourselves, or we're saying it in our head, or we're getting up saying it in front of a mirror? Do you have a preference or a thought of how we should deliver this to ourselves each day?
I really think that is whatever is comfortable for you. So for me,
Gotcha.
is I do it in bed in my head.
Okay.
'Cause
Okay.
sometimes my husband is still sleeping, you know,
Gotcha.
but I'm just saying it to myself. But it's like, the person that you're talking to the most in your life is yourself.
All right.
So we might
Right.
as well choose the way that we talk that is kind, that is encouraging, that is uplifting.
I think that's such a good point because you're right. We spend so much of our own time in our own heads, right? And a lot of that is negative talk, a lot of negative self-talk. Why did I do this that way? And even thinking, on past things or negative thoughts about things in the future. So I think the a bigger point that you're making there is just to change the way we talk to ourselves in general and to start the day off with a positive thought to ourselves. So I love that. So number one, start with a decision, right? The decision
Yes.
that the day is going to be a good day. And again, I love how you added the not a toxic positivity. We're not, pretending like things aren't going to come up through the day. We're not discounting anything bad that may happen through the day, but just knowing that overall things are good.
Yeah, because especially in medicine, or even with audience with kids, something is always going to come up, and
Yes.
and they're always going to be surprises, good and bad. So it's just when something doesn't go your way, you're like, all right, and that's kind of the second point that we alluded to earlier. It's control what we can control, and
Mm,
whatever we cannot control, we don't argue with it, but doesn't mean
mm,
that we're not doing anything about it. We're just going to say that, all right, this happens, but we're going to focus on our energy to see what we can do about it instead of spending or draining our energy to do something that is not helpful, meaning arguing with why did this happen.
Yeah, so let's get into that one. Let's unpack that one a little bit because that's
Yeah.
that's life problem number one for me over here. So controlling what we can control and not letting it, control us slash ruin our day slash we spend time when we could be coming up with a solution, but instead we're wallowing in what happened.
So it's like, for example, on your wedding day, you expect it to be sunny and because you wanted everything outdoors and everything. And of course, you're gonna plan for it. What if it's not gonna be sunny? You have a backup plan, that type of thing. And so, on the day, it's really pouring. And and you're gonna just decide, oh, you can say that, oh, why did this happen? This is so annoying. I wanted it to be sunny. It's going to ruin my wedding. Or you can decide that it's my wedding. I'm going to make it work. I'm going to make it the best thing in my life, and you're just going to do the backup plan or whatever it is that you're just going to make it work because the weather is not something that you can control, but you can control the
Right.
situation, other things that you can control to make it work.
Right. Or you just get married in the rain, right?
And sometimes kids get sick, or sometimes patients, they're kind of like complaining about things that you didn't expect, so you're going to say, all right, this is the situation. I'm capable. I can make this work, and just do it.
I love that. And again, that is a big shift that I know so many of us have to make. Do you have thoughts on how we start to make that shift in our own heads? Or, do you have thoughts on maybe a phrase that we can say to ourselves to turn things around, or what actions we should take, or what are steps to kind of when something does go bad, or doesn't go the way we planned or expected, how we can start to make that mindset shift and not get stuck in the dwelling on it.
Yeah, so when you're right at that moment, you're probably the very first thing is like, you're questioning, why did this happen? And it's very important to catch yourself as like, all right, this is my kind of just the default thinking, and it's the first thought that comes to my mind. It doesn't mean that I have to adopt that thought forever.
Yeah.
It,
Hmm.
you can come up with a second, a third, or fourth thought that is more helpful. It doesn't have to
Hmm.
be like, or all the way to the other extreme, that oh, it's going to be great. It doesn't have to be, but it's just something more helpful to get you through this. And because when you question that, why did this happen, it's not very helpful. It's
Right.
it's a done deal. It has
Right.
already happened. So what can you do about it is more important. And I think that, what we talked about earlier, the preparation work really, when you wake up in the morning, how you start your day with that sentence that you choose, it's a decision. And also, just keep in mind, the two categories of things you can control and things you cannot control. That is really, really helpful.
Right. And also having just kind of this false narrative of thinking that we can control things that we truly have no say in or don't have the actual control over. So those are great. So ways to make, every day a good day. First, you've told us to start with a decision. So first thing in the morning, making that decision, your own personal choice of how your day is going to look and saying that to yourself, whether it's saying it in your head, laying in bed, or if it's saying it out loud in front of the mirror, whichever it takes, starting the day with that decision, and then making a conscious effort to control what we can control and not letting the things that we can't control ruin our days. These are great.
And just remind yourself throughout the day. It's not like just in the morning and that's it. Just remind
Yes,
yourself
good point.
and cheer yourself on. Be your own cheerleader.
I love that. Again, so many times through the day, it's negative thoughts that run through our mind. So the wonderful point that you made, that decision that we make at the beginning of the day does not have to be a just 5 a.m. in the morning that we say it, but continue to say it throughout the day. I love
Yeah.
that. Other thoughts that you have of how we can make every day a great day?
I think it's very important to be clear on what you want for the day, meaning like what you want to accomplish. I think for many physicians is to to take great care of the patients and to go home at a decent hour. So you
Mm,
kind of like when you have that goal, that is your direction of where you want to be, and you kind of work backwards. So even for non-physicians it's kind of the same thing. It's like, oh, all right, I want to finish that project at work, or I want to take care of all the kids and have them do all their activities after school, whatever it is. Then you have that very clear goal in mind for the day, and work backwards to see how you can make this happen. So this is kind of the more technical aspect of things, that you can say, all right, you make that decision that it's going to be a great day, good day, and you have that goal and you're going to make it happen. And so how do you do it in a backwards way? It's kind of like when someone is has decided to lose weight. You have a goal of how many pounds, and you have a time frame of in what period of time you want to lose that weight. And so you work backwards. It's like, all right, so it means that every week I lose 1 to 2 pounds, something like that. And
mhm.
how am I going to make it happen? I got to be doing something different from what I'm doing right now, because I'm not losing weight right now.
Right, right, right. I love that kind of practical way of thinking about it. So very pragmatic. So thinking of this is what I want to have accomplished by the end of the day, and then figuring out the steps to get there. I think that's really important too.
It's just so important, because just realizing that we have so many thoughts
Hmm.
throughout the day, and there's so many of them that we're not really conscious of. And I think that having more awareness, meaning having the mindfulness of what we're thinking, be the observer or examiner of ourselves, it's so helpful, because then you realize that, oh, this thought is causing me to feel this certain way. And, we human beings are really affected by how we feel, by our emotions. So if
Right.
we feel happy, we're going to do things a certain way. If we're angry, totally
Mm-hmm.
different, even
That's
though
so
it's
true.
it's the same situation. So I think that the more that we practice being mindful of ourselves, then the more you realize that, oh, this is why I'm doing this. This is why I'm throwing the pillow, or this is
Yeah.
why I'm like, oh, I feel more peace and calm because of what I'm thinking. So that's why I say that we are very powerful, actually more powerful than we realize, just because that yes, the situation or circumstances, they're really neutral until we have an opinion about them.
Exactly. Oh, that's good. I like that. That circumstances are neutral until we form our opinion. And it becomes up to us then to dictate what that opinion will be, right? And so
Yeah.
we can think of it as gloom and doom, and then that just sets us on a certain trajectory for the rest of the day. Or we can think of it as an opportunity to, okay, turn things around, make a conscious decision to not let it affect us negatively or negatively impact the rest of our day. So, kind of it sounds like the theme of what this discussion is when we're saying that we want to make every day a good day really goes back to that recording that's playing in our mind. Do you agree?
Yes, and when you mentioned recording, it's I would recommend this book called Soundtracks by
Okay.
Akoff, I think is his last name. So basically, it's talking about we have all these different soundtracks in our minds. So you get to decide what which soundtrack to turn the volume up, and which soundtrack track to turn
Mm.
the volume down. And I think that's a really, really great book to, and it's a very simple read book, a very simple concept, but it's really that, first you have to be aware of what soundtracks are playing in your mind
Right. Right.
and
Right.
decide which ones to focus on.
Right. I love that. And for those who are listening, if you're driving or out for a walk, don't worry. I will link it in the show notes. So just a place for you to find it on Amazon or just have the title there so that you can look for it. Maybe it could be an Audible thing that you can listen to,
Yeah.
or a book that you can pick up to read. So you said it's called Soundtracks.
Yeah.
Perfect. All right. I'll make sure I have that in there. Well, thank you so much. I do want you to take some time to tell us about the physician coaching that you do. I know that I have several physician colleagues who are listening. And again, the amount of good information, I'm not even gonna say good, the amount of great information that I got from you on that drive from Phoenix to Sedona was game changing. I mean, literally within an hour, you change kind of how I think about going through my day and practice so that I can leave earlier. There were times that I was at clinic until 8 and 9 o'clock at night, getting my charting done, or sitting home when I could be doing other things, but I'm on the sofa charting and doing things that were carryover from the day. And you give such really good practical steps of turning things around, but also just like you shared with us today, that mindset shift. I know so much of the work that you do is about helping physicians, particularly female physicians, feel better about how they practice medicine and how they go through the day. Because when we have that mindset shift and are able to be more productive, we feel better going into the clinic day. And at the end of the day, we're better able to take care of patients. So, would you mind for my physician audience telling us a little bit about the work that you do and letting me know what I can share in the show notes so that they can find you?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's the thing. It's like I have gone through exactly what you went through. I was charting late at nights, weekends, a lot of the times, and I felt like I had no life. I was barely
Yep.
surviving, and
Mhm.
I wanted to quit medicine many, many times because it wasn't living. And what I wanted to do when I decided to do medicine was to, besides taking care of patients, is to really connect with them, to have that longitudinal relationship and to grow together in that sense. But I couldn't do it with this charting thing going on. So then,
Mhm.
when I worked with my coach to do exactly just that, to work on the charting efficiency and everything, then I also realized that, well, it is more than just the skills, because
Yes.
we can all learn the skills, but it's not just the physical skills. It's really your mind, how that really help you shape what you think and how you feel and how you act. So
Mhm.
that really, with knowing that, it's really, as you said, game changer for
Yes.
me. and
Yeah.
and of course, I did not even know what coaching was actually.
Hmm. Hmm.
But I was just so desperate that I wanted something changed. So I decided to join a coaching program, and that really changed my life. So then after that, I was like, well, I want to learn more about this life coaching thing. And so I joined a certification program, and more for my own understanding in depth, because
Hmm.
we physicians like to do that.
Right.
and and so then I thought, well, now that I have all this time back, instead of leaving at work, past 7, only to see my kids and then chart some more after they
Mhm.
go to bed, I'm leaving work 5:30 with everything done. It's like, all right.
What can I do
Well,
now?
I share with other physicians, how to do that too, because you
Yeah.
know what? There's this mass exodus of physicians. Many people are
Right.
retiring earlier than they anticipated, or many physicians are working part-time because, yes, the healthcare system needs a major overhaul. But then it's
Agreed.
like, what if uh, physicians can enjoy practicing medicine again, just like I started to do again. So that's how I started my uh, company for coaching for physicians, called Shining with Gratitude MD, because I'm just so grateful for this opportunity to learn.
And so thank you so much for that. If it's okay with you, like I said before, I'll go back into the show notes and tag your website. Go ahead though and tell us your website.
My website is www.shiningwithgratitudemd.com.
Perfect. So I'll tag that. I know that you are active on Facebook and LinkedIn as well. And so I'll tag both of those in the show notes as well. Having a physician coach can be an absolute game changer. So thank you for the work that you're doing in the space of physicians. And thank you for the expertise that you brought to my listeners today. It has been a pleasure to have you. We talked about how to make every day a good day, remembering that good doesn't mean perfect, but that our days can truly be good. And that begins with kind of starting our day with a decision and making that decision that we're gonna have a good day, controlling what we can control and not letting the things that we can't control weigh us down, and then setting that expectation of what we want to accomplish throughout the day. And so, Dr. Leung, thank you so much for your time. I appreciate you so much for joining us.
Well, thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. I wish you all the best. Hey, thanks for listening in today. I hope something you heard in this episode will help you on your journey to becoming healthier. Remember, this podcast offers general health information. I am not your personal physician. If you need advice that is specific to you, be sure to consult your physician. If you enjoyed this podcast, please consider sharing it with a friend and reviewing it on Apple Podcasts. Also, be sure to subscribe to the show so you never miss an episode. Tune in next week for another great episode of Headed to Healthier. Until then, take care of yourself. Talk soon. Bye.